So ladies and gentlemen, on our set today is Dr. Mercy Igoki Racham. And today we are here to discuss her book. It's a wonderful book. I've read it myself. And I mean, there's no way you go through this book and you don't want to meet the person that is behind this book. I would like her to introduce herself, tell us who you are and where you're from and what you do.
Thank you very much. Just like you have said, my name is Dr. Mercy Igoki. Born in some place in Embu County, a village called Gitare and Runyenjes. Runyenjes is our nearest town. I am a teacher by training. I normally say I'm a teacher by choice, training and practice. And now my experience, I am currently registrar in a private global university. I've been a registrar I've been assistant registrar in another university. I've been a high school teacher. I've been a kindergarten teacher and primary. Actually, in the kindergarten and primary, I was the school manager. So basically, I am a teacher by practice. That is all I know. And in my second life, I want to be a teacher. I am also, that is for my passion, that's my training, but I'm very, very passionate about mentorship and coaching of young people. I'm a trainer. I do capacity building for all the members of education. That is to say, take me to a school with the students, with the teachers, with the board of management, with the parents, anyone that is associated with education. I am good to go. I love to do capacity building. I've actually written 3 books. My first book was on shaping the generations, raising and disciplined people. I wrote this book after realizing that I'm interacting a lot of times with the young people in schools, and somehow they would come back and appreciate what I had done for them. So I said, yes, shaping the generations, raising and disciplined people. Then my second book was on careers. I'm a very passionate career coaching. So I wrote a book on becoming the best me, shaping my career to impact generations. And then my third book is on my personal story. And this personal story, it's about the hand in the handles. I've seen the hand of God through my handles. I've been through so much handles all through my life, from when I was born up to where I am today. But I would comfortably and confidently say, including on top of a mountain, that I have seen the hand of God in the handles.
Excellent. Dr. Mercy, now, I mean, no one hears that kind of a CV without wondering, with all these good accolades, I've heard you say that you are currently a registrar at an international university. You are also a coach. And you have also mentioned that you worked at a kindergarten and managing a school from the low levels. Your previous engagement was an assistant registrar of a university. What kind of attitude brings someone that long journey? And by the way, just to get a gist of it, this far, how long has it been building that kind of a colorful career?
Wow, it's been some time. It's over 34 years. Interacting with the students across the board. Actually, I normally say I am a teacher of all levels, because I taught in high school for some years, 17 years actually. I'm a teacher of maths originally, and then I was a school manager for a kindergarten and primary, dealing and handling babies with their parents. And then I have been a lecturer of educational units, psychology, philosophy, management, leadership, administration. And then now I'm at the university as an administrator. So you're asking the attitude that brings me to this point. I love to impact. I love to change life. And I look at life as in, what's my purpose? why did God allow me to be conceived, to be born, and even to grow? So I feel I have a purpose, and there's something that I can do to change a life. So for me, take me to the kindergarten, I will interact with the babies like I am also a baby. Take me to the high schoolers, the adolescent, I'm home, good to go. And take me to the university, I'm okay. Changing life one at a time. And that is actually what drove me to writing my first book, Shaping the Generations, Raising Undisciplined People. I'm very, very passionate about interacting with the students at whatever level. So that's the attitude I have brought to my career.
Wow. That's impressive. It's also interesting that you wrote. Now I get it where it comes from, because it is your passion to impact people's lives that you wrote a book about shaping future generations. You wrote another book about personal development and career building.
Yes.
And then you were like, okay, you're writing these books and people don't even know who you are. And so tell us about the real inspiration behind the hand in the hurdles.
Thank you for that. First, I really appreciate my children, Mike and Martin, Nisheni. They are one reason for writing the last book. They kept telling me that, Mom, from when we were born up to today, you are always speaking to people. You are always having something to tell everyone. Take me to church, I'll have something to tell people in church because I'm a Christian. Take me to school, I'll have something to tell people. And they have been also part of my life, and they know the kind of challenges that I have been through. So they kept telling me, you know what, Mom, when you speak to people imagine, especially the young people, imagine that you've had it smooth all the way. They are always seeing you smiling. I mean, some people don't even know the hell that you have handled through your life. I think you need to write this so that people can actually know that this product they are seeing here has not just come like that. So that is what now got me thinking, yeah, I think it is important. I write it down so that even as I speak to people, they actually get to understand that you don't have to look like the problems that you are going through. You can still wear a smile. You can go around your problems and use the same problems as a stepping stone for even greater and glorious things. So that's one reason that got me writing that book. And the other reason that got me writing the book is, in bits and pieces, as I'm speaking to young people, especially high schoolers. I've really been out with the high schoolers. As I speak to high schoolers, I give my personal testimony, and some of the testimonies that I have given is the fact that I grew up without a father, or I grew up with my grandparents. My mother got married to another man and got other children, and then I got to know my dad much later at that 8 years. So as I give my personal testimony about how I have grown and how I struggled through school, especially my primary school, my secondary school, high school, I mean, as I shared my life, every time I would have somebody coming, and trying to tell me, Mercy, you have encouraged me. I still remember one time a young person told me he wanted to commit suicide because he had grown with the grandparents. So seeing me talking about my experience with my grandparents was like, yeah, so you mean I can actually live? So as all this put together got me saying, yes, I think it is important for me to document my story. Let me document my story. Even if not many people will read, but the few people that will read will be encouraged and they will be impacted. Yes.
Honestly, having read this book, I think, in my honest opinion, it's a very impressive book. It's a very interesting story. And I get to a point where I feel like I need some in-depth about some bits of it. And I can only say, as a compliment to you, it's a well-done book. It's a beautiful journey that you've been through, and that you're not broken. I don't see why anyone should have an excuse to give up in life.
Thank you.
And I'm sure this book will have an impact on many people. let us go back to where it all began. Tell us about when you were born, where you were born. What was your childhood like? Just even before school. What was how? Give us a taste of Mercy between conception and before class 1, because on school, because I saw that the school, even how you go to school, was so interesting. I want to handle that on its own.
Okay.
Talk to us about how was your childhood.
How was my childhood? Thank you very much for asking. How was my childhood? My mother, Catherine Gishuko, whom I really love and adore, was a young girl in school like any other, and she had a boyfriend. My daddy, my late dad, Elion Fundi, who I really loved and was my friend. So, like any other young people, Mercy was conceived. My mommy was in class 6 and my dad in Form 2. And those days, not like today when somebody can go back to school after giving birth, my mom dropped out of school. So I was born out of wedlock. My dad continued with school. All right. So after about 2 years, mom found somebody to marry her. And my grandfather and my grandmother decided that mom was not going to go with me to now her new sweetheart, her new husband. So I was left behind at my grandmother's and my grandfather. And I really appreciate Sarah, my grandmother, late Sarah Shongo, and my late grandfather, Samuel Njibia. I really appreciate. So I grew up with my grandparents. From 2 years, I'm told my grandmother used to tell me that because I was still very young, I actually used to even breastfeed. From just not really putting any milk, but just to kupembeleza, you know, the way you want to soothe the baby to calm down or to sleep or that. So that is what I would say. I grew up with my grandparents. So very humble background with food. Of course, in Embu you used to grow. Even today, it's very rich in terms of productivity with food, but no money. They were peasant farmers. My grandfather was a tailor. Used to go to Renyages, to Kushona, to those days. And then my grandmother used to be at home and take care of cows and the farm and all that. So basically, I grew up with that kind of a humble background, without much money, but with some love from my grandparents and with food, because Embu has always been productive. I can't say that we lacked food any one time, but in terms of money, there was no money.
What were your childhood games?
Oh, my childhood games! Oh, I had so much fun. I still remember I had friends, some girls who are my friends, and they would come and we would play kati. I used to be very tiny, so I used to be very good with kati. So we would do kati, we would do some other games of jumping. We would draw some boxes on the ground, and we would jump over the boxes. And another game of pushing a stone. But I had so much fun as I grew up.
Tell us about your Sunday school. How was it by that time?
Thank you very much. My grandfather happens to have given one of the churches a piece of land to build. So I grew up in church. Actually from when I came, for the farthest that I can remember. I used to go to church on Sundays, and I belonged to even as I grew up, I belonged to the youth, and Sunday school for me was a must attend. I mean, there was no option.
Okay, interesting. So here you were, as you said, you were tiny, and at what age did you get into nursery school?
Now, that's another story about.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
About my nursery school. I used to have a friend just around my grandfather's home, a lady called Nancy Paris. So Nancy, the parents understood school. And I need to mention that going to school was not anything of great importance. You could go to school or not. Who cares? It wasn't a big deal.
Just before you continue with that, let me understand one thing. You were growing up in your grandfather's house.
Yes.
So socially, are you alone in the homestead, or are you around other people?
No, I grew up with my uncles and my aunties, like my brothers and sisters. In fact, if you didn't know, you would have confused me to be the last born, and I was considered actually a last born of my grandparents.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I had my uncle who was slightly older than me, so
yes.
It looked like I was just following him. You know, the way siblings.
Yes.
So I grew up in that family, very comfortable with my uncles and my aunties, and some of my uncles were married. So we are a big family. My grandfather had many children, 13 children. Actually, he had 15. 2 of them passed on Kitambo before I was even born. So he had 13 children, and the sons who live around his home were married and with children. So I grew up in a very, very I would say rich social background. My uncles were there, my aunties were there, my cousins were there. I had company.
What was the attitude towards education within the family circles?
Oh my God! Within the family circle, nobody. Actually, the one who went the farthest in school was class 6. So my uncles and my aunties never went far in school. Those days going to school was really not a big deal. Mm-hmm. Unless you came from a background where parents understood, like I'm telling you about my friend Nancy.
Yes.
The parents understood the value of school. So we used to pray together now at home. So she wakes up one day and she goes to school. So I go to their home and I don't find Nancy. So I'm asking, where is Nancy? And Nancy has gone to school. Help! I just followed her. I followed her to school. I didn't go to school when I was serious. So it was not a serious matter. It was a matter of following my friend. So I followed my friend to school, and I ended up staying in school. In fact, I went through nursery the whole year without uniform.
Wow.
Yeah, I just followed.
So actually, if you had not pursued play,
yes,
you would not have gone to school.
Yes, I would have gone to school that particular time.
I think as a parent, I now value play more. if that accident of following play is what made you who you are today.
Yes.
So now tell us. Okay, so for a whole year you had no uniform.
Yes, I didn't have uniform.
Were there other kids in the school with no uniform?
Yes, you see that's Gishagi. It's rural areas. It wasn't really a big deal those days. It wasn't a big deal. So and remember we never wore shoes. We were just going to school. Just going to school. You just bare feet and whatever clothes you have. Some of them torn and with patches. And we survived.
Which primary school did you go to?
I went to Gitare Primary School. I am a DB. Yes.
Those times we used to call them, they were called Arambe schools.
Not Arambe, DB, they were pure District Education Board.
Yes, District, yes, now I remember, yes.
DEB.
So, how was the environment at Gitare?
The environment was very warm. Rural areas, people are very warm. A child belongs to the community. Those days, the children belonged to the community. School was, the teachers were our elders. A lot of respect, a lot of love. School was very, very warm. We never had this kind of quarrels that today we have between teachers and parents and children. Children respected the teachers, parents respected teachers. There was such mutual respect as we grew up and went to school. Did you experience any bullying? Because now imagine, because you had a small body, did you have any experiences of bullying through primary school? No, not from any students. Of course, those days discipline was key. The teachers used to be very. The teachers would actually cane you if you did anything that they considered not right, and nobody really asked. In fact, if the parents were called by the teacher, to report that you have been mischievous, you will be beaten by the teacher and you're beaten by your parent, by your mommy or your daddy. And in most cases, it was daddies who used to come to school. So in terms of bullying, not any that I can remember. Of course, kids used to fight on their way to school, on their way home, and the fighting then also used to be more of a joke. I used to be a mediator many times. No wonder I did mediation later. They would put something here we call jata, a caster, and then you are told to drop. So if you drop, it means you are ready for the fight. Yes, and so others will be cheering you on, and others will come and stop you from fighting. So now I used to be one of those who will stop the others from fighting.
You were the peacemaker.
Yes, I was. Somehow, I still remember, somehow, there used to be a place, a place where kids used to go to fight. And I would always pass through there because I want to go and see who are going to be fighting, who will be fighting today. So I will stop them from fighting. And then I will pull them. I will drop the jata myself and say that we have messed the jata, so nobody is going to fight.
That was very courageous of you. At that age.
I don't even know how that used to happen, but I still remember like yesterday.
In the book, you talk about some unpleasant experiences that you had. There's this one that you had lost the
monitor.
Yes, the monitor.
The disc.
Yes.
That was much later.
Talk about that experience and how it shaped your view towards corporal punishment.
Yes, thank you very much. Now remember, this is village, and
yes,
we are all from the same place, so we don't have people who can speak Kiembu. Everyone can speak Kiembu. So for us now for the teachers to encourage us to speak in English or Kiswahili. We'll be given a disc, and we'll be told that anyone who speaks in mother tongue, given the disc. If you end the day with a disc, you're punished. Okay, so that was the issue. So here I am. This is interesting. You're reminding me about something very interesting. So I was given the disc. I spoke in my mother tongue. I was given the disc. So the following morning, also if you came late, you would also be given the disc. So the following morning, I don't want to be punished again. So I want to give it out. So there is a girl called Mary. I knew where they stay, and she had not come to school. She had not arrived. She was coming late. So I went to meet her because she was late. I arrived in school and then I went to meet her so that I could give her the monitor. And remember, this is not school. So when I was giving her the monitor, she brushed it and it dropped. And then of course I was very excited that she had touched it because the issue was touching. So I went back to school and Mary never picked it. Guess what? I was punished the rest of the term because Mary was not guilty. She didn't have the monitor. Yes, we're calling it the disc. I'm the one who had it last. The day before, I was punished the whole week. So anyway, for the rest, by the way, it was for the rest of the month of the term.
Wow.
Yes, I was being punished every day. But the beauty with the punishment those days was also not very, very. It was easy. You'd be asked to carry cow dung or carry ashes to school or carry water to our classes were mad. They were mad.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be asked to carry all that, and then you'll be shown a place to smear in the evening. So you smear and go home. So anyway, for me, I have a problem with the corporal punishment. I can't remember any student that I have given corporal punishment in my 34 plus years of being a teacher. I believe in talking. I believe in discussions. Because sometimes I feel punishing somebody without giving them a chance to speak, it could be very unfair. Because they could actually be having a genuine case. It could be genuine, it could be something that is authentic. So listening, sitting, listening to the argument as the student is explaining and all that, for me, is the way to go. Even the children, I especially for those parents who jump into beating, I have put that in my book, in my Shaping the Generations. I believe in preventive measure. There are three kinds of discipline: the preventive, the supportive, and corrective. I believe in the first two. I believe in preventive and supportive, so that I'm not jumping into correcting a mistake that may not necessarily be a mistake. Because if somebody did something and they didn't even know that they were actually making the mistake, then you beating them up and caning them and getting them to have so much pain doesn't change anything at all. If anything, it hardens.
Talk of hardening, because I think I have been through that process, and I've also friends who have seen kids who you hear even the parents say, huyu wangu ni kichwa ngumu. So, and now listening to you saying that all it needs is just a talk, it now also gives me a retrospect of myself. What state of mind should I be as a parent for me to be able to talk to this person? Because I would imagine if I'm having my work stress, I'm having issues that I've never sorted with myself as a person. As the president the other day said, it takes courage to say what is needed, and it also takes courage for you to listen. Mm-hmm. What kind of an attitude as a parent should I adopt when I'm listening to my kid without that judgment of huyu ni kichwa ngumu?
Yes, actually, I tell this to parents that we use, first of all, we use preventive. Preventive means you are talking about everything and nothing with your child. You are not waiting until they are making mistakes. Then now you want to correct. What about becoming proactive? So that is the talking that we are talking about is not even a structured talking. You are just talking about everything in life with your child. Talk about disobedience, talk about obedience, talk about what happens when you go to school, what happens when you are crossing the road, what happens when you're doing, talk about everything. That way you are preventing them from making the mistakes, and you are shaping them to be the kind of person that you would want them to be. So for me, even the talking that I'm talking about, it is where you just talk and talk about everything.
Now I get it, because most of us, when we hear we need to talk, we flee. And
you know why? It's because you are suspecting that you have made a mistake.
Yes, and it is a childhood conditioning, yes, that whenever we were called to talk,
yes,
the next thing would come was caning.
Very good.
Because the only reason we are having a talk is that you have done something wrong.
Yes, thank you.
So in this, I think you're also addressing the issue of the need for us to be intentional in our parenting.
Yes, let me tell you what, parenting is an art. It's an art, it's an action. It's something that you do. It's not something that you just find yourself by default that you have done. So if you really want to do positive parenting, you have to plan. You plan for it, and you decide how you want to do it, and you do it. I don't know. I have a story of a student that I taught some times back, and this student misbehaved. I did not behave well, and so we called the parent, and the father was there and the mother. And now I'm the one, I was the counselor, the school counselor. So the student is there, mother, father, and the principal. And we are talking about this issue. And we now want to report the girl to the parents. And we gave our stories, our narrative, and explained all what we thought we needed to tell the parents. And the father, of course, like any other father, was like, what have you done? And got very upset. The girl said, wait, can I say something? And we said, yes, say something. And she told the father, Dad, don't behave like that. When was the last time you sat me down and told me anything about life?
Wow.
My friend, what happened? We ended the discussion. told them, the girl, it's okay, thank you very much for sharing. Let the girl step out, and they were left with the father. The father cried like a child. Of course, he started by saying, I pay a lot of money, school fee. The way parents feel, I paid so much money. But the girl was simply saying, excuse me, you are paying school fees, but that's not what I want. I want you in my life.
We are in a generation where we think because we paid this much money for your fees, we have now put you in a house, you should be very thankful. We buy you the best clothes. You should be kneeling before me as God. Where do we draw the line that my kids don't need my money, they don't need my provision, they need me as a parent? And again, it's interesting getting this from your perspective, because you had that void of parenting.
Yes.
And later in life, you are now dealing with learners who are also going through the same issues.
Yes.
Tell us what have been your lessons, and like, how do we handle this thing of I'm busy to provide for you, so you should find a way to be a responsible kid, like I'm responsible paying for your fees.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting. Just like we said, parenting is very intentional. It's very, very intentional. This is to say that you have to plan. Now, first and foremost, I will speak as a child, and I also speak as a parent. Now, children need you, the person. When you come with other goodies, but they need you, the person, not your goodies.
Uh-huh.
The beauty about you is when you come with the goodies.
So you're a package.
Yes, you are a package. Because we can't say that children will not need your money. They will definitely need your money. They need your money. You need to pay school fees. You need to provide for them housing. They need to eat. They need to dress. They need all this. But you see, this is not all they need. They need you first. So now, as a parent, it's balancing act. How you become a present parent, and at the same time you are able to go out and fish and bring fish home to your children becomes your challenge. But what we are saying is, as a parent, it's not about what you bring to the table. It is you first, and come with whatever you have. Mm-hmm. You would rather give them just enough. I think what's happening with today's parents is we want so much. There's really nothing wrong with having so much, but you can't have so much and at the expense of your children. You will come, by the time you come, they're not there. They are gone.
True.
So now who has lost?
True.
So you would rather have just enough, but have your children. Because we are looking for, I may sound funny, but we are looking for million to make our lives extravagant, when actually 500,000 could be enough to keep us together as a family. What am I trying to say? It's you who the children need. As you come along with your goodies. And I normally ask for two things. QQ, I ask for quality and quantity parenting. Quality and quantity parenting. Quality to mean provide for them. Quantity to mean they need you. They need you, the person. They need you, the person. Sometimes parents talk of when they come in the evening and they are busy on their remote and they are changing from one channel to another. Their child is playing here. They think that, I was home very early. I was home at 5. But excuse me, you're home at 5, but you're not with your child. You're busy doing your thing. Your child needs quality time. Your child needs you to come down here and spend your time with them. Your child needs quantity, meaning the time that you spend with them here is not 2 minutes, it is 20 minutes.
So what you're saying is, presence is not just being in the house.
Thank you.
But also being involved in
Yes.
what they're doing.
Yes.
Wow. So, wow, what happens with our generation that we are always on phone? We carry our work home.
That is why phones have stolen our time in the family. You find the people round table, they're having dinner, they're having lunch. The child is on their phone, daddy is on phone, mommy is on phone, the house help is on phone, and they're eating. So there's food and everyone is on phone. At the end of the day, nobody will know who has finished food. The house help will finish eating food and go to the kitchen to wash utensils. Mommy will finish eating her food, she will leave the table, come down to the seat, and she'll be on phone. Daddy will be there, finish. The child will be left on the table and might even sleep with the three things: the phone and the food and the sleep. They were all together, but each one of them in their own world.
How do we manage the how do I put it? The addiction to gadgets.
No, we have to be intentional.
So it's just a decision. Full stop. No sugarcoating, no nothing.
Yes, it is just, we just have to be intentional. We just have to be intentional. I like it when sometimes my sons come to visit and they decide we are putting away our phones so that we can listen to each other. And
That's
you
okay.
put them away. They are there, you have them, but you are not holding them. Because the moment you have your phone, I will be busy on my phone, you are busy on your phone, we are together and yet not together. Each one of us in our own world. And no wonder, sometimes we even chat. People, we are together. Even friends, we are around table, we are discussing something, we are taking a project or something, and we are chatting with each other, and we are together, and others are there. The same case applies at home.
Wow.